This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Well, the new book is Rust in Peace. That's the inside story of the Megadeth masterpiece with a foreword from Slash, who almost joined Megadeth. But we're going to get to that in a moment. With help on this book from Joel Selvin, it is the 30th anniversary of Megadeth's Rust in Peace album. The book is out now. All the info at megadeth.com. Dave Mustaine joins us. And Dave, I just have to say, wow, the last 2 years, kind of like a 1-2 punch. First, you get the cancer diagnosis, and you beat that, thank God. Then the coronavirus, quarantine, no gigging, no touring for now anyway. So how are you feeling? How's the family? How's everybody in your world, the band, et cetera? I hope all are doing well.
Well, I can say yes to just about every one of your questions. I think I might have forgotten one, but we'll just say yes in case.
Right. Well, you had the cancer diagnosis, you beat that, and then the coronavirus, and everyone's healthy. So
I don't believe in that myself. I believe if you stay super healthy and you keep clean and keep your distance and everything that everyone's telling us, that you don't tempt fate with these crazy parties that they're having and going out to pubs and all that stuff. I have no need to be doing that. I'm making a record of my life. I enjoy my family, and I think that there's so much stuff that people don't know about what's going on. Nobody knows about politics. Nobody knows about any of these groups, and nobody knows anything. It's almost like it's a really bad movie. And we've, as troubadours who travel the world and we make our living off of playing music, it's harder for us to survive than it is for most people because, when you get these guys that are out on the road and they're making money, they don't usually put it away. They will spend it.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point because, yes, the leaders of the bands, the songwriters, the producers, et cetera, they're in sort of one category. But, for a band to exist and to function as a recording, touring band, there are all these other people that are involved that people don't generally think about. I mean, guitar techs and drum techs and sound guys and lighting guys
and concessionaires and parking lot attendants and security inside the building and the people that do catering and all these other lovely people who are behind the scenes and usually get treated like shit by some of the artists. The one thing you can pretty much bet on with just about anybody who meets a rock star for their first time, they're going to walk away and say, that guy's an asshole, unless you find somebody who really likes his job and who has been to the mountain and back and realizes, because it's like that old saying, you're a Texas millionaire, only if you've made $1 million, lost $1 million and made $1 million again. And for me, I think in the beginning of my career, I was in survival mode for so long that by the time I got to this point in my life, I made it. I did it. I'm great. I feel great.
Well, I wanted to say a belated congratulations on the Grammy, because the last time you and I spoke, we were actually, believe it or not, in a studio just a few feet away from each other. We weren't on Zoom. And you had mentioned, 13's my lucky number. We're not going to win. And then there you go. You go and win a Grammy for Dystopia. And you actually do like the number 13 because you have a beer with a number 13 in it too.
Yeah, that's true.
You wrote another bestseller back in 2010, Mustaine, a heavy metal memoir. But this is interesting, this book, because it's all about the events sort of leading up to the Rust in Peace album in 1990, the demos, the recording, a little bit of the aftermath too. It's an interesting approach to a sort of, memoir. It's not like the full memoir, but it's a memoir for a short period of time.
Right. Do you not like that?
No, I ate it up. I read this thing in like a day or less.
Wow.
I thought it was fascinating.
Thank you. It's been a fascinating life. I didn't talk about sex in here and I didn't talk about my dying, but everything else in there has been pretty pretty straightforward, and I didn't sugarcoat anything so as to, in some terrible way, lure young musicians down the rabbit hole. But I also felt that, if you can show where, all these hardships happen, and that if you're decent to one another, you can work through most problems. I think that's what the moral of this book is.
One other thing that stood out to me is you got a royalty check for $5,000 or so from Metallica during this time, which sort of you and Dave, the other Dave, spent pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say one of us spent it really quickly.
And Mike Clink, who had just produced GNR's Appetite for Destruction, he was working on this, producing the album, but then he didn't go to the end because he got a call from some guy named Axl.
Yeah, there was the backstory with that. Mike had already had a contract with those guys. So if anything, as skeevy as that seems, he was actually a good dude, because he was not working, and he made clear to us, unfortunately, if Axl says I'm ready to come off of my, solar sabbatical, that I'm ready for you to work and you need to be there. And so I figured, what are the chances of that happening? So we go and we start making the record, and the chances got really good because he called. And Clink left, and I finished the record on my own with an engineer.
Well, speaking of Guns N' Roses, good stories and cool stories about Slash in here. One of them, he does the foreword to the book. And during this time, you actually asked him, or considered asking Slash, to join Megadeth.
Well, I don't remember it being me that asked Slash to join Megadeth. I think Ellefson and Slash were talking about that. In fact, I didn't know about it until later. Now, I had contacted the guys in Pantera. That's the
Dimebag, right?
Yes, sir. And when I talked to Daryl, he said, okay, I'm in. Can I bring my brother? And I went, who's your brother? He goes, Vinnie Paul. And I went, sure. What's he do? And he goes, he's a drummer. And I went, well, we already have a drummer. And that was the end of Megaterra.
That's a great band name, actually. Rust in Peace, the album title actually came from a bumper sticker you saw in a car.
Let's paint the whole picture here. It was a bumper sticker I saw in a car on the way home from skydiving.
Oh.
Yeah. So my adrenaline was, it was excreting everywhere. And when I got close to the car, it said, may all your nuclear weapons rust in peace. So it wasn't just 3 words. There was a little backstory to it. And the funny thing was, I liked skydiving, and Marty did not. And I said, come on, dude, let's go. And he goes, I'll never. And I said, never. And he goes, if we go platinum, because he didn't think that the possibility of that was happening. And I said, okay, we go platinum, you go skydiving. And you'd have no idea the glee that I felt calling him up and saying, guess what? We're going flying.
Wow. That's a good phone call right there.
Yeah, I loved it. Now you can see the picture. I think the picture in the book shows his face really well. By the way, I'm signing autographs for the books here, so I'm trying to.
Oh, no problem.
Talking, my neck didn't fall off the joystick. So Marty's picture in the book was, it's pretty telling. He's kind of looking like. So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you, for a guy who's been absolutely petrified of skydiving his whole life, how would you convince me, aside from offering me, a platinum album?
How would I convince you to skydive?
Yeah.
Well, real simple. We would go up in a 747, and I would say, the door's open and you have a backpack and a parachute. Which one are you going to jump with?
But I wouldn't have a guy like holding on to me. I would do it by myself, or I would do it with a guy first, maybe.
All kidding aside, I think if you went, there's a way to do it called tandem, where you have an hour of briefing, how to get in and out of the harness, how to connect to your jump master, and how to get in and out of the airplane, because there's 3 different airplanes you have to know the configuration of. One of them, you run out the door. Another one, you reach outside of the door and you hold on to the rain gutter like this. And that's scary shit. So I naturally, being an adrenaline junkie, I had to go for accelerated free fall, which is you jump by yourself the first time. And it took me, I think it was, God, I can't remember how long. They had me there at the crack of dawn, and I was there for hours studying and lying on this cart and rolling around on my belly. And then it was time to jump, and I could not get back up in the air fast enough.
Wow.
It was the greatest stress. Because see, what you're thinking right now, you're thinking of the feeling you associate with falling, when you fall and your belly button points up. That's that feeling, the gyroscope in your body that's telling you, well, fuck, I'm upside down, right? Now, what the feeling you get when you jump off a diving board into a pool, you don't even know that you're diving. You just feel like, hey, right? That's the feeling of sky diving. It's not sky belly flopping, and I think if you went with me and I was still jumping, we would have a really good time. We'd have fun.
Well, we'll look forward to that maybe one day in the future. With this album, Rust in Peace, after all that everyone was going through, that Rust in Peace was the album that really took the band to the next level. International acclaim, first album that went gold, then platinum. And was it the first Grammy nomination an album as well for Megadeth?
I don't remember. I just know there was a lot of Grammy nominations. I don't know how many. I thought there was 12. No, there would be 13 nominations, because you would have to include the win in with the nomination. So there's 13 nominations, and one of those is a win.
Well, another good thing happened 30 years ago, and maybe this is another anniversary that you will be celebrating soon or are currently celebrating. All during this Rust in Peace era, you met your wife and married her.
Yes, my amazing wife. Yep. Love her a lot. She's great. We've had, it's been really cool because she's put up with a lot of stuff, and she's really gotten to know and love the fans and be really nice to them. I was in Germany one time, and this one fan was being really rude, and there was a security guard there that was trying to out-rude him. So I said, what's the deal? And he says, he wants a pic. And I said, okay, give me his paper. So he gave me his paper, and I stuck my finger in my nose and stuck it on the paper. And my wife was mortified. She said, I'm never doing another meet and greet with you. Fans walking away, I have his booger. So, I felt kind of embarrassed that I did it now that you mention it. But at the time, kind of had it coming.
Dave Mustaine is with us. The new book is Rust in Peace, the inside story of the Megadeth masterpiece, a forward from Slash, with help from Joel Selvin. The book is out now. All the info at Megadeth.com. I want to ask you, Dave, what was the first song you ever learned on the guitar? Do you remember that?
Yes, of course. The first song I ever learned on the guitar would have been, there was a song called Panic in Detroit. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, ba-da-da-dum, bum, ba-da-dum. So that was the first one I learned on bar chords. The first guitar song that I learned on open chords, just normal chords, was a song called Horse with No Name. And then when I started learning finger picking and different hand positions up on the neck, it was Stairway to Heaven.
Nice.
And then I got into Kiss. And probably my favorite band at the time was AC/DC or UFO, but that was only because of the wizardry on guitar that these guys laid down. Some of them didn't survive the music business, the 80s or 90s. I mean, they're still walking, living, breathing people, but, nobody's told them that they're dead, and they just haven't stopped roaming the streets of Hollywood yet.
Another question for you. If there was one, was there ever an oh, wow moment for you where, you're there and you're saying to yourself, I can't believe I just met or jammed with or recorded with blank?
Was there an oh wow moment?
The first one.
The first one. Okay, let's see. First one. Meeting Ozzy, having Alice be my godfather. Those were probably the first two really big oh wows. But meeting Jimmy Page too was great because I have a picture of he and I in my office in this big K award that I got from Kerrang. Funny thing is, the thing is made out of rubbish, so it snapped in half and fell off the cupboard onto my head, and so I got a little hairline scratch on my head. Kind of looks like 666.
Oh yeah. Hey, tell us about your radio show.
It's great. What do you want to know about it?
Well, okay. I mean, what I'm imagining is I haven't listened to it, but I'm going to. But do you sort of flip the script and do you interview people?
No.
It's just like your music and stories, or what is it?
Well, it's a mystery.
So it's Gimme.
Name that movie. Come on.
Is it Gimme Radio, Gimme Metal, or something? Or
yes,
what is it?
It was Gimme Radio was the moniker in the beginning, and then they halved the company into Gimme Country and Give Me Metal. So there are the two hemispheres of what is Gimme Radio. So,
and you enjoy it?
Do I enjoy it? You know, there's times where I love it, and there's other times where I know I'm rushing through it and I'm not happy with myself because I think the fans deserve my very best. That's what we do with our wine and our beer, and that's what I try and do with my music. So why wouldn't I take that same approach with, talking to them on the radio or playing music that I like, and not just shoveling, popular crap that's on the radio nowadays. That stuff. I mean, great. That stuff may be good or popular if you're a 12-year-old girl, but if you want to hear some really cool metal from back in the day, you got to go to the source.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, you had a live chat recently, which I watched. You were promoting the Megadeth beer, and in that chat, I think it was in July. You said you were actually in the process of making a new Megadeth album?
Yes.
Can you tell us more?
Sure. We're in the process of doing guitar solos right now. Kiko Loureiro is at the studio with me, and we're done with all the bass and drums and almost done with all of the rhythms. There's a couple little punches we need to do here and there, and then it's off into singing and solo land. And then probably the last thing, which is always my favorite thing, is the ear candy, because that's when you put in a keypad or a timpani there or a French horn here, or you have somebody get a sound effect that nobody knows what it is. I remember using a sound effect of a chain being dropped into a bucket. And I remember when we did the sound of the gate in Captive Honor, that was supposed to have been the jail cell door in my jail cell. It was the hinge to my gate in my back door in Toluca Lake, a teeny little gate that goes clang. But I slowed it down so it goes boom. And it's just taking risks and doing stuff that people don't generally do because they don't have the guts or the knowledge or the funds.
Is it possible we might hear something on the radio sometime this fall?
This fall, it's a possibility, but I think you're probably a safer bet. If you want to hear anything right now, just come visit.
It's Dave Mustaine. The new book is Rust in Peace, the inside story of the Megadeth masterpiece, with a foreword from Slash and getting help from a great writer, Joel Sullivan. And the book is out now, and all the info at megadeth.com. Dave, so glad you are doing well. Everyone's healthy and good. And I'll just speak for myself. I can't wait to see you back on a stage in New York City, just melting our faces, man. That can't come soon enough.
I hope to deliver as soon as possible.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. Thank you. Take care.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.